Have you ever walked into someone's home and noticed that it was spotless? Not because they were expecting guests, not because they spent the weekend deep cleaning, but simply because it is always that way. And you find yourself wondering, how do they do it? What is different about them? Are they just more disciplined? Do they have more time? Do they simply enjoy cleaning their home more than the rest of us? Here is what I have discovered. Those people are not just cleaner, they are wired differently. And I do not mean that in any mystical sense. I mean it literally, neurologically, psychologically. The person who cleans their house every single day is operating from a completely different mental framework than someone who cleans only when things get out of hand or when guests are about to arrive. Today I want to break that down for you, because what I am going to show you is that a clean home is not just about a clean home. It is about the state of your mind, the structure of your identity, and the relationship you have with your own environment. And if you have ever felt that a messy environment drains you, causes anxiety, or quietly suffocates you, then this video might just be the one that changes how you think about your space forever. Let us start here. Your brain does not distinguish between your inner world and your outer world as precisely as you might think. The space you live in is constantly sending signals to your nervous system. There is a concept in environmental psychology called cognitive load. Cognitive load is simply the amount of mental effort your brain is using at any given moment. And here is what research has shown. Physical clutter competes for your attention, even when you are not consciously aware of it. Every pile of unwashed laundry, every stack of unread mail, every dirty dish in the sink, socks on the floor, clothes draped over a chair or left on the bed. Your brain registers all of it as unfinished business. And unfinished business is mentally expensive. A study conducted at Princeton University found that physical clutter in your surroundings actually interferes with your ability to focus. It overloads your visual cortex and impairs your brain's ability to process information. So, your messy room is not just irritating. It is literally making you less sharp, less focused, and more mentally fatigued. Does your focus slip when your space is disorganized? Now, flip that around. When your environment is clean and ordered, your brain gets to relax. That is why people who clean their home every day are not just tidier. They think more clearly, they are calmer, they are more focused. Their environment works for them, not against them. Now, I want you to understand something deeper about this behavior. When we talk about people who clean every day, we are not really talking about people who love scrubbing floors. And let us be honest, who actually enjoys scrubbing the floor every day or vacuuming constantly. We are talking about people who have figured out, consciously or not, that maintaining their environment is one of the most reliable ways to maintain a sense of control over their own life. Think about it this way. There are so many things in your life that you cannot control. You cannot control the economy, the weather, other people's behavior, the result of a football match on TV, what happens in traffic, or what your boss says in a meeting. Most of life is unpredictable. And for many people, that unpredictability creates this quiet, constant anxiety, a background hum of stress that never fully goes away. But your home, that you can control, the state of your kitchen counter, whether your bathroom has been wiped down, whether your bed is made, those are entirely within your domain. And every time you act on your environment and restore it to order, you send a signal to your nervous system that says, I am in charge here. I can handle things. Everything is okay. Have you ever felt a sense of relief after cleaning your home? In psychology, this relates to what is called the locus of control. People who have a strong internal locus of control, meaning they believe their actions genuinely influence their outcomes, tend to experience less anxiety, greater motivation, and greater resilience. And one of the simplest ways to reinforce your internal locus of control every single day is to take ownership of your immediate environment. Clean the counters, make the bed, wash and put away the dishes before they pile up, and you will feel the relief. Now, I want to talk about something that I believe is the real key to understanding this behavior. And it brings me back to what I talk about constantly on this channel: identity. People who clean their home every day are not doing it primarily because they love cleaning. Let us be realistic. Who actually enjoys tidying their home every single day? Most of them would probably tell you they do not. They do it because somewhere along the way, through repeated action, through building the habit, through seeing the results, they internalized an identity. They became the type of person who keeps a clean home. And once that becomes part of what you believe yourself to be, the behavior becomes almost automatic. Behavioral psychology is very clear on this. We act in alignment with who we believe we are. So if you believe you are a disorganized person, a messy person, someone who simply cannot keep things tidy, what do you think will happen? You will let things pile up and tell yourself, well, that is just the way I have always been. But here is the good news. Identity is not fixed. Identity is built through evidence. And the evidence comes from your actions. Every time you wipe down the table after dinner, you are building the identity of someone who takes care of their space. Every time you make your bed in the morning, you are reinforcing the belief that you are someone who follows through on small commitments. Do that enough times and your brain has no choice but to update its picture of who you are. This is what identity-based habit theory rooted in cognitive dissonance research tells us. Repeated actions shape self-concept. And once a behavior becomes part of your identity, it becomes natural and automatic. The goal is not to force yourself to clean every day for the rest of your life. The goal is to do it consistently enough that you stop being someone who has to force themselves to clean their own home and start being someone who simply does it. Let me tell you why this habit is especially powerful when it becomes part of your morning ritual. Neurologically, right after waking up, your brain is in a relaxed, receptive state. Your cortisol, your stress hormone, naturally spikes in the morning, which actually creates a window for focus and neuroplasticity. Your brain is literally more capable of rewiring itself in the morning than at any other point during the day. So what happens when the very first act of your day is to make your bed or to wipe down the kitchen? You are doing several things at once. First, you are using that neurological window to reinforce a behavior that will eventually become automatic. Second, you are generating what psychologists call a completion loop. Your brain receives a small but genuinely powerful dopamine hit when you finish a task and see the results. A make bed, a clean sink, a wiped counter. These are visible markers of a completed action, and they feel good to the brain. Third, and this is the most important part, you are building momentum. Admiral William McRaven, in his famous commencement speech at the University of Texas that went viral, said something incredibly simple and profound. If you want to change the world, start by making your bed. Because when you make your bed in the morning, you have already accomplished the first task of the day. That gives you a small sense of pride. It encourages you to complete another task and another. And by the end of the day, that one small task will have multiplied into many completed tasks. The compound effect of daily cleaning is not just a tidier home. It is a more productive day every single day. Now, I want to be honest with you about something, because I know some of you listening right now are thinking, I am just a messy person. I have always been messy. My parents were messy. My apartment has always been messy. That is simply who I am. I hear you, but I want you to hear this. Your clutter is not neutral. It is trying to tell you something. It is almost always either a symptom or a cause of something that is happening on the inside. When life feels out of control, people's environments tend to reflect that. When someone is going through depression, their space is often the first thing to deteriorate. Their apartment becomes dirty, dishes go unwashed, beds go unmade. The mess on the outside mirrors the chaos within. Research published in the Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin found that people who described their homes as cluttered or full of unfinished projects had higher levels of the stress hormone cortisol throughout the day compared to people who described their homes as restful and relaxing. Think about that. The state of your home is literally affecting your baseline stress level every hour you spend in it. So, if you have been wondering why you feel tired when you come home from work, why you cannot seem to relax, why your evenings feel stressful even when nothing particularly bad happened that day, look around. Your environment may be the very thing that is quietly draining you. Here is something I want you to stop believing right now. People who clean every day are not more disciplined than you. They have not somehow achieved a level of willpower that you have not yet reached. That is an entirely wrong frame. And I want you to stop thinking that way because it is simply not true. When you watch someone with a consistently clean home, you are not watching discipline in action. You are watching a system. You are watching automation. You are watching someone whose habit has become as natural as brushing their teeth before bed. It is simply what they do. Just like brushing their teeth, as I said. And that is what you want to build for yourself. Not more discipline, more automation. Because discipline is a limited resource, you can burn through it. We have all had the experience of being very strict with ourselves in one area, only to fall completely apart in another because we used up all of our willpower. Automation does not work that way. Automation is self-sustaining. A 2009 study published in the European Journal of Social Psychology found that it takes an average of 66 days for a new behavior to become automatic. We may have an other to shift from something you have to consciously choose to do to something your brain simply does on its own. So the goal is not to force yourself to clean every day for the rest of your life. The goal is to force yourself to clean every day for long enough that it stops being something you force. That is the transition. And once you make it, the habit sustains itself. There is another dimension to this that does not get talked about enough, and that is the sensory experience of a clean environment. Because cleaning your space every day is not just a cognitive benefit. It is a deeply physical, sensory, almost nervous system level experience. Think about what it actually feels like to walk into a clean room. The visual clarity, the open space, the absence of that low-level visual noise that clutter creates. There is something about a clean, ordered environment that communicates safety to your nervous system. It signals things are handled. Everything is okay. You can rest. Now, for people who are highly sensitive, people who absorb the energy and the moods of the environment around them, this effect is even more pronounced. If you have ever walked into a messy room and immediately felt your anxiety rise, or entered a clean, minimalist space and felt yourself exhale, that is your nervous system responding to environmental input. And for those people, maintaining a clean space is not a preference. It is genuinely a mental health practice. There is a reason why hospitals, meditation centers, high-end spas, all places designed to promote healing and calm, are obsessively clean and ordered. It is not merely aesthetic. It is neurological. A clean environment actively supports your brain's ability to regulate, calm down, and recover from the stress of the day. Here is something I find absolutely fascinating, and I want to share it with you because I believe it will change the way you see this entire habit. When people clean, they are often not just cleaning the physical space. There is a reason why so many people reach for a broom or a vacuum cleaner when they are stressed, anxious, or emotionally overwhelmed. And be honest, has that ever happened to you? When you felt irritable or dissatisfied and suddenly found yourself reorganizing your home? The act of cleaning, its rhythm, its physicality, its visible and immediate results, is one of the most effective forms of behavioral activation that psychology recognizes. Behavioral activation is the clinical term for using physical action to shift your emotional state. When you are anxious and sitting still, your nervous system stays activated. But when you get up and do something, especially something with a clear beginning, middle, and end, You give your brain a way to discharge that nervous energy through action. The dishes get done, and something inside you settles. People who clean every day have often stumbled onto this without realizing it. They have built a habit that serves them emotionally just as much as practically. The physical act of restoring order to their space helps them restore order to their mind. The external process mirrors and supports the internal one. And this is especially powerful at the end of the day. If you spend 10 minutes tidying up before bed, wiping down surfaces, putting things back in their place, leaving the space exactly as you want to find it tomorrow morning, what you are really doing is creating a psychological boundary between the day that was and the night that is coming. You are telling your brain, the day is done, I handled it, it is time to rest now. So let us talk practically, because I know some of you are listening to this and thinking, okay, I understand, but I am still not doing it. I still let things pile up. I still tell myself I will clean later, and that later never comes. So how do you actually begin? The first thing, and this is critically important, is to shrink the start. One of the biggest reasons people do not clean consistently is that they wait until there is a towering pile of dishes, a mountain of dirty laundry, and then when they look at how much work awaits them, they cannot even bring themselves to begin. And large tasks are easy to avoid, so what you want to do is never let it get to that point. Catch it small. Wipe the counter right after cooking. Wash the dishes right after eating. Put things back immediately after using them. When the mess never gets a chance to grow, the maintenance required is minimal. You are not cleaning, you are simply maintaining. The second thing is to attach it to something that already exists in your routine. This is what behavioral scientists call habit stacking, or what our grandmothers would have simply called building good habits. You are not trying to create a new habit from scratch. You are attaching a new behavior to an existing trigger. You already make coffee every morning, so wipe the counter while the coffee brews. You already brush your teeth every night, so wipe down the bathroom sink right after. The third thing is to make it enjoyable. I know that sounds obvious, but this is where most people go wrong. Do not approach cleaning as though you are being punished, as something you are forced to do. And anything that feels like punishment, your brain will naturally avoid. So how do you make it enjoyable? Put on the music you love, a playlist that lifts your mood or calms you depending on what you need. Make yourself a drink. Turn it into a ritual you actually look forward to rather than a chore you dread. I want to close with this because I believe it is the most important thing I will say in this entire episode. Your home is not just where you live. It is a physical expression of your standards, and do not let yourself forget that. It reflects what you believe you deserve, and this is something that most people have never consciously thought about. Yet, it is operating on them all the time. When you begin to take care of your space, when you clean it and send yourself the message, I live here, this is what I deserve. Just imagine coming home from a long day in the city or from work, exhausted, and being greeted by an ordered, welcoming home. Be honest with yourself. That feeling is a good one, is it not? People who clean their home every day are not obsessive. They are not rigid. They are not spending hours scrubbing things. They have simply decided that their environment matters, that their inner world is reflected in their outer world, that it affects their mood, their energy, their sense of self. Does that not ring true? So here's what I would like you to do for yourself over the next 7 days. Choose one space in your home, just one, and maintain it every single day. It could be the kitchen, the living room, or the bedroom. You decide which one you want to focus on. Perhaps the room where you spend the most time, or maybe the one that bothers you the most. Do that for 7 days. Then tell me it has not changed something in you. Tell me it has not changed how you feel when you wake up and walk into that room in the morning. Tell me it has not given you a little more energy, a little more focus, a little more confidence. That you are someone who follows through on small commitments to yourself, because that is what this is really about. Not a clean room, not a made bed. It is about becoming the kind of person who shows up for themselves, someone who takes care of their apartment and, by extension, their inner peace. I would love to hear about your experiences. Do you find it easier to live in chaos or in an ordered home? And do you agree with what you have seen here today, and why? Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, click the subscribe button and do not miss the next one. See you in the next episode, and I wish you a wonderful